What I was saying, a lot of employers said to me, when I said to them, what are students lacking when they come to you? And pretty much all of them said to me traditional art skills or a sketchbook. So that said, if you're aiming to go to another college like Cal Arts or something like that, do your research, find what they're really looking for and tailor your sketchbook for that. I would actually really exaggerate that curve, and I'd have the feet down here, and I'd probably lock the arm in here, and I'd push that arm out further there, and maybe I'd tilt the head back a little bit, and if I take that measurement as 1 unit, it means the shoulders are that unit. I noticed his right shoulder is higher, the left one is lower. I noticed the spine is in this direction. Then if I take the head unit measurement again, 1, 2, 2.5. The body's about 2.5 of those. So 1, 2, 2.5. That's where the pelvis is. And again, this hip is higher. Again, I'm just very quickly measuring out. So what I'm saying is you're not trying to do realistic drawing, you're trying to do accurate drawing. You're trying to draw what you see rather than what you think you see. I was talking about last week is balance. Center of gravity, when 2 feet are on the ground, the center of gravity is going to be somewhere between those 2 feet. You can't see these 2 feet, but they're clearly both on the ground here. Whereas this guy has got 1 foot off the ground, but because he's making a move forward, he's out of balance, but that's deliberate because he's letting his body mass motivate the velocity of his move. But seriously, you don't really learn it from books anyway, you learn it by doing it, right, or knowing someone who knows how to do it, who shows you and mentors you. That's the best way. If your poses are not good, your animation's never going to be good. And each pose has to tell a story. Whatever the intention of the story is, that pose has to be so good. You look at when you do a pose, there's a right and a wrong way of posing something from an animation perspective. And you've always got to put yourself in the mind of the audience when you're doing a pose. And if you check back on all the Disney classic movies of the past, you'll see this is true through and through, and it's a fundamental principle. That when you do a pose, make sure the silhouette of that pose is really good. The story, sketching their character holding a skull. If you're the camera and I'm holding the skull like that, you're seeing the skull and me behind it. That's a really bad pose. But if you see that in silhouette, you get the whole thing clearly defined, the skull, the arm, and me. But if I do it, but really you're looking for angles, you're looking for proportions, you're looking for relationship, like that angle, you know, what's the angle from the shoulder to the wrist, what's the basic body shape, are the shoulders level or is one up, what's the angle of the head, what's the eye line, and what's the relationship of all these things. Try to keep when you're analyzing footage, for instance, to do a picture action, this is the quick kind of gesture drawing you need to do. Now, I took probably more than 3 minutes on these. I probably took 4 or 5. But essentially, you're capturing the motion as quickly as you can, not trying to draw photographically what you're seeing. You're just don't literally copy the pose, copy the message of the pose, the story that the pose is telling, but just push it even further. Just, if he's got his head's down in relation to his shoulders, but you take it even further, that's... You get a nice little snap when it hits the ground. We'll talk about that in a minute. And you get a slight stretch when it's going up and coming down, and then it reverts back to a circle. And then all the shadow. Now the shadow is really good. If you're ever animating a bouncing character or any character that's in contact with the ground and loses contact with the ground, if you use a shadow to accompany that action, it will give much more grounding for it. It will feel like there's contact made when the shadow touches the character, and then when it goes away, there's a separation. It emphasizes the bounce. So in other words, when the ball hits the ground, it bounces and comes up very fast, but as it gets near the top, gravity is pulling on it, so it's going to go up fast and then slow down. And then at the top of the bounce, for a split second, it's going to stop, and then on the way down, it's going to accelerate. So it decelerates on the way up and accelerates on the way down. And you can see, okay, because when it goes to twinning, it looks fake and wooden. Especially in animation. Remember, in animation is a caricature of reality, so you have to extend even the most obvious things. So if you are doing a jump like that, I would suggest that you have one arm going up just a little bit ahead of the other one. Even though ostensibly they're going up together, they're going up differently. And then